Run them jewels fast, run them jewels fast, run them, fuck the slow mo.
Hey. I was kicked off. Anyway, hello again. This is Run the Julz podcast production. Neither Hoop and Harm or Hey Lady, you call him Dr. Jones. This is one of our true OG standalones. I'm here to talk about the 88th annual Oscar Awards that happened on Sunday. And I'm here with my co-host and sister, Emily Julian. So Emily, you can say hi to the fans at home.
Hello, fans at home.
And I'm very happy and apologetic for anybody who might have who subscribes, and there's not a lot of you, to the show, who might have gotten a email that said that the latest Hoopenheim was out, but then it was pulled down, but now it's back up. I think we had some misunderstanding with YouTube, and they banned me for half a second from their site. So
You rebel, you.
Hoopenheim, I'm not sure why. Hoopenheim got pulled off because of, I guess there were too many fiery hot takes and too much Gary Tanguay hate, maybe. I don't know, between Barry and I. And it got yanked, but it's now back up there after I appealed it. So fight the power and look what happens. So that's back up there. So sorry about that confusion or annoyance. But today, let's get to the topic at hand. We're talking about the Oscars. We're going to go more into the overarching themes of the show, what happened at the show. We won't hit you up for too much in the trenches movie geek stuff that I might be prone to do, so I'll try to check myself. And first of all, I guess we'll start big and go small, because that's the way I feel like doing it right now. So in terms of going big, I will ask you, Emily, what you thought about, and I think I know your feelings about this, but what your thoughts are on Spotlight winning.
Oh, stoked! I did a legit fist bump. I thought it was, it was just an excellent film. I watched it like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago now. And as somebody who I mean, you and I grew up in that, not the Boston area, but close by, and we were both raised Catholic and were in the Catholic system kind of during this time. So it was funny when you and I talked about this right after I saw it. I had said to you, do you even know the real story? And you were like, I don't know, wasn't it some priest molesting some altar boys? And it kind of jarred me to remember that's the only phrase we had ever heard about.
Right, because I hadn't seen it yet. But
right.
Yeah.
So you realize it was so much more than that. And I thought, I thought the movie did two things for you. Is it certainly exposed this really important topic that people may not know a lot about, and it's just this disturbing story that was just very well explained and documented. But then what I thought made that movie the best picture was a lot of little nuggets that they gave you along the way. And I'm going to spoil this for anybody who hasn't seen it, so sorry, but you should. So you'll appreciate these nuances as when I point them out. I just liked how each of those main four characters, they all had this kind of personal touch to what was going on with the narrative. That, for Michael Keaton's character, it was this, he went to BC High and had all these things, and that secondary narrative that was running along of it was the story itself, and then it was the why wasn't this talked about sooner, and then you think for a long time it was that the editor, I always forget this guy's name. What is the silver-haired guy's name?
With the mustache?
Yeah. No.
Oh.
Not Liv Schreiber, but the other editor. That's not Michael Keaton. That's the silver-haired guy. He was.
I want to say Dominic Cooper. But
no. What the fuck is his name? I can't remember. But Alex always knows my name.
Slattery. No, Slattery. His last name is Slattery, I think.
Yeah, John Slattery. No.
Yeah, it might be that. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
The white-haired guy. Yeah,
I'll look it up. Keep going.
The editor above Michael Keaton before Liv Schreiber's big-time editor role, and. Right. You were talking about the nuances of why wasn't this talked about earlier? The pieces were there and nobody talked about it. And I feel like it led you down this path to think he was sweeping under the rug on purpose, but really it came out that Keaton had the details and didn't run with it 5 years ago. And it was, right. That was really shocking to me. So that was really interesting. His point of view, I thought that, Rachel McAdams did such a kind of a beautiful job of trying to really getting to know the victims and her, grandmother being that Catholic background, and the other actor that I didn't know, that played one of the reporters that, had that house around the corner from him. Like, I mean, I believe that was true, but those are the kind of things that like really kind of elevate what you're talking about, because it makes it seem so much more real. And then in Mark Ruffalo's case, I just thought he was the perfect investigative reporter. I mean, we'll talk about supporting actor in a minute, but I mean, I can't believe he didn't win it, because just the fever in which that he was racing after the details was so impressive to me. That's exactly what I thought. He's jumping out of cabs and crossing streets and doing all these things, trying in on Sundays, just like endlessly trying to find the answers. So I thought, it just did everything you thought that movie should have been. And they're really, and it's nice that the actors themselves are so engrossed with the movement and the survivors and all that kind of stuff. I think it was such an important movie. Like I left with a physical pit in my stomach. And I don't think I've ever had that kind of physical reaction to a film. And I think that it's just so important that kind of film gets that kind of recognition, because it's an important topic and it was done so well.
Yeah, I thought it was very deserving to win. There was talk about whether or not it was going to, because it's a challenging subject, and sometimes the Academy is like, "Oh, I don't want to, we don't want to celebrate." Well, it's not that they don't want to celebrate it, but it's taboo, right? So it's kind of, sometimes it's difficult to put it up on the mantle above everything else and be like, "Let's talk about this and put this in the national spotlight for no pun intended, for the next week or two, and talk about the merits of this film." I never thought that was going to really stop them, and luckily it didn't. But there was a real case to be made with how strong Revenant was, and that weirdness around Spotlight, whether or not it was going to win. But I'm with you. I'm happy it won. I thought it was first of all, I think the overall year of 2015 was a year full of, and I just said this to my friends a couple hours ago, the year of very goods. There were a lot of very goods. There were no greats. I think Spotlight was the closest you'll get to great, and it might be great. But overall, I thought it was a very like very high B+, low A- type of a year when you talk about like the greatest, the canon of films, and you stack them up against one another. But I thought that Spotlight was probably the best, and I liked how tight the story was. Mostly, like you said, it really felt like they drove the story along well. They added all these little nuances that made it feel more real. They had a phenomenal cast of people who really took on the lives of those reporters and of just the people around Boston. I mean, I remember when I watched it thinking like, yeah, I understand how this you don't understand how this happened, but you understand like the mental mindset of how it just kind of like faded into the background of normal life in that city. Because there's a lot of people that were portrayed in that movie that we know from growing up of being like, this is how you do it. You make a deal at a bar, you do this, you do that. It's very like, be a part of, like, be a company man type of an approach throughout the entire city. That's not to disparage the city, because I love that place more than any other city in the world, but it felt like with the BC High stuff, and
it's just, you understood the structures of this city were very well explained. And I think, and to go back to your point of the tightness of the story, I'm sure you can touch on it later. I just saw Straight Outta Compton last weekend. I'm not sure I even told you, and that I felt like wasn't tight. And I think, but they both, I believe, are 2.5 hours. But I thought Spotlight did a very good use of her time, and it needed it to be that long. Like, I remember being in the theater, and I'm an antsy person. I'm usually looking at my phone no matter what. Even if it's a good film or not, I'm looking. I didn't even look at my phone once. I know, sorry, whatever. But I'm an antsy person. I like to look at my phone just to see what time it is, how much time's left, and I mean, I think the two movies I definitely didn't do that with were Star Wars and where was this. I just was so engrossed with what's going on. I felt like to even look down, you were going to miss something, because it was so, each domino was falling and it was done so well.
That's funny, because I'm the opposite. I like being there in the, not that you don't like being there, of course, but when I'm in a movie, I literally hate looking. If somebody tells me the time, I get so upset, because then I calculate. You subconsciously calculate, okay, how much this movie, and then it ruins it for me. So I almost hate looking at the time. It's my least favorite thing in the theater. But anyway, I cut you off. Keep going.
Yeah, no, yeah, but I just thought it was you're right that it was well done. It was tight, and it explained the structure of the city really well in terms of like how much the Catholic Church is important, or and another thing that I thought was interesting, going back to the idea that like there was a lot of red herrings that were appreciated. Like I liked them because there was that scumbag lawyer that they went to originally, and they kept going back to, and he seemed like he was a bad guy, and then he was like, no, I told you guys about this, and you guys just didn't listen, so I just gave up. And it was just like, oh my God, I thought he was an asshole, and he's not.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's a lot of that. And maybe I was just a sucker, but I really was surprised a lot, and it was enjoyable surprises in terms of it was just well written, and I'm glad Tom McCarthy won that screenplay, or the original screenplay, because that's how I thought it was just really well written.
Yeah. He's a local guy. He's very talented. I was very happy for him to win that as well with his partner there. I can't recall his name, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. I think it got to the heart of what the city was pretty well, even though they shot most of it in Toronto. Also, big shout out to Tim Whalen, who was the second person you ever saw in that whole movie.
Oh my God! Did I even talk to you about this? I feel like I couldn't believe that. I was like, "Is that Tim Whalen?" And I think I may have met Tim once, but I was like, "That's definitely Tim Whalen." I looked him up.
Like front and center too.
Yeah,
like,
he talked. He talked.
Tim in all his glory. If he sees this,
he should go to the open casting. There's an open casting for one of those Patriots Day movies. I think the movie called Patriots Day is having an open casting.
Yeah, that's Wahlberg, and it's being written.
Gyllenhaal, right? Is Gyllenhaal in it, or is that another one?
Oh, I don't know.
Wahlberg's tied to one, and Gyllenhaal is tied to one. Are they tied to the same one?
Well, the one I know that Wahlberg is tied to is about to undergo production, and I know it's written by the screenwriter who just did Bridge of Spies. So I'm very hopeful for that movie.
Actually, speaking of, now we're talking about current events, and this, I mean, not current events, but events that are true stories. Though the best pictures as a whole, really interesting how many of them were true story based. This was, Big Short was, Bridge of Spies was, right? Bridge of Spies was a true story in some capacity, or it's just a historical piece. Like, we're talking about something that happened. And I'm trying to think if was there one more, but I mean, it's just kind of a lot, I thought, in one for all the best pictures. So I don't know what that says about.
I can't remember if
original story. I mean, obviously original stories are tough to come by now, but it's just kind of, or I mean, in The Revenant was, I mean, it's a long time ago, but they're all kind of, I don't remember a year where most films were like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's happening more and more, but we'll definitely take those over, sequels, reboots, and redos of all the old IP that we're just recycling over and over. But I just want to make one last point about Spotlight, which you hit on. I thought the most important character of that entire film was Rachel McAdams. Yeah. Because she is, first of all, her scenes with the victims were the most jarring for me. It's probably not a flaming hot take, but they felt like so real, more so than the Mike Rossetti stuff with Mark Ruffalo, because the people that she talked to and the way she portrayed that journalist, like getting those people to open up to her, it really like turned my stomach and really made me feel like, oh God, the specifics
she made them get to.
Right.
Like, oh God, we're really going to talk about it, and it's just like, yeah, we have to talk about it.
But it wasn't even like the subject content, because you're ready for that. You're kind of expecting that stuff, but it was just like the genuine authenticity that they were describing it with, like that poor guy who was basically, he was gay as a child, and then they really dug into how are you supposed to feel when that is your sexuality, and now you're made to feel like that's almost like a bad thing growing up, and you're just totally like you're mentally totally screwed with. So I thought that was a reason why her character was so important, and another reason was that grandmother stuff, because she is basically portraying like most everybody nowadays in Boston. They have family, relatives, parents, grandparents who are like deeply religious, and they go to church constantly nonstop, and it's like you're being put in a very weird place where you might not be a very true believer, but you want to respect their wishes and not undermine what they're doing, but then you have to then that woman who's the journalist is put in the middle of trying to expose that institution. And I think it's a very that's a very everyman position that I think people around the city and maybe in the country are in, whether it was back in the late 90s and early aughts into now. Her having to like give that newspaper over to her grandmother to show her what she's been up to for the past several months, I thought was one of the better points.
And I thought it was so interesting to kind of go off that point. When that scene she did in the coffee shop with that snap, the survivor guy, when 9/11 happened, and there was just, which is, I always find, when we go through these stories as kids who grew up, there's 9/11 being our first major like life event in terms of the news. Like, amazing that like they had to throw the pause button on it, and they were so mad about it. But you can't. You have to kind of give respect to things, and and they're sitting here, and all of them are just festering, being like, we have to tell people, and Keaton's like, no, not yet. And in that scene where Mark Ruffalo leaves that room with Stanley Tucci having to go in with those little kids who had just been abused, and they're like, God, I could have maybe stopped this. And it's just they must have lost their minds. Yeah. So I thought, but yeah, I agree that she really was the emotional backbone of the whole thing, because she was able to kind of, and I mean, maybe that's female's touch, whatever, but she, when she was in that coffee shop, she was like, no, we're not giving up on you. We just be patient with us. I promise it'll matter. And she was able to honor that.
Yeah, I think she was probably, now come to think of it, the emotional backbone, and it probably is partly a female touch, because if it was all dudes, it would have a different feel.
Right.
So I'm glad, she was able to play that part, and I think there's not many people on the face of the planet who could play that as well as her.
And EA for her to rebound from god awful Detective 2. I'm glad that she's still.
Which she was pretty good in.
Yeah,
Just the writing was horrible.
You don't want that damaging her at all, because she's such a good actress.
Speaking of horrible writing, I will say, and I have to be on record, and this isn't like a very new take because I've heard other people say this, but it makes my skin crawl that the Oscar clip from Mark Ruffalo was that clip of him screaming at
could have been you, could have been me,
could have been you, could have been us. So
yeah,
can't be a cardinal or a freaking pope or whatever. Oh, that's like nauseating stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, there's so many better things they could have. That was in the goddamn trailer. Give them something that wasn't in the trailer.
Yeah, but it's just it's bad half a monologue. It's just bad. It makes me want to. It's so easy. It's like that's a very easy thing to write. Like like I'm not a writer, but I would have written that.
Yeah.
And that's not what should be happening in an Oscar-winning screenplay. So I'm sure Tom McCarthy probably wants that one back. But so I was okay with actually Ruffalo not winning.
So did you see Bridge of Spies? Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you think it was? So you said Bridge of Spies. So you've seen all of the big heavy hitters in that category, and you think he should have gotten it?
I'll just go really quickly through it. Bridge of Spies, I saw. Spotlight, I saw. Revenant, I saw. Big Short, I saw. Martian, I saw. I saw Creed, which is the Sly stuff. I did not see The Danish Girl. I did not see Brooklyn. I did not see Carol.
Yeah, and I think, it's. I saw Big Short, Spotlight, Creed, Martian, and I think that's it. I just didn't see. I just knew I couldn't sit through The Revenant, and I'm a little mad about it, just because I figure because it just had so much buzz. And I watched Birdman last year and really did like it, so I like the Iñárritu thing, but whatever his name is. But that just wasn't going to be my scene. I'm sure it was fascinating and interesting and good for Leo, but just wasn't going to be my scene.
It's a scene for film geeks for sure. Like the cinematography is
outrageous.
Like it's outrageous. And that guy who won for cinematography, that's a hat trick for him, back to back to back.
Oh, really?
Which is crazy. Yeah.
What was the other two? What did he win Birdman last year, and then what did he win the year before?
I want to say 12 years, but
really?
Maybe not 12 years. Yeah, I wanted to look that up really quick. So I saw most of the films, and the Sly stuff. I thought Sly was good. I thought it was more of like Sly Stallone is, this old, so let's basically give him almost a legacy award, which I wasn't all
Gravity.
that. Gravity, of course. Yikes, jeez. I wasn't all that into just giving Sylvester Stallone the award just to give it to him, because I thought his performance was good, but Tom Hardy's is better.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy's better than Leo. Let's not mince words. He's better than Leo in The Revenant, and we'll talk about Leo in a bit. But what Tom Hardy does in The Revenant is great, and it really hits like the sweet spot of what Tom Hardy does really well. So, and it was him giving his best version of that.
Is he the best actor? Is he the best actor that people don't give enough respect for right now? Like, is he? I feel like he doesn't get the credit. I feel like he just pumps out movies, and B, pumps out good performances, and nobody really fights for him. I feel like he still kind of flies under something. Like he's still, he's still Bane, and I'm like, well, no, I think he's better than Bane. Not that Bane is bad, but I mean, just kind of. I feel like he's the guy right now that should be the man and isn't.
He's far better than Bane. He's got a miniseries coming to FX called Taboo, which is going to be really cool. The trailer is out for that.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I haven't seen it.
That he wrote with his father or something and got into production. He's really good. I mean, when I saw him in Locke, which is literally just like watching Tom Hardy act with nothing. He's literally on the phone the entire time in a car, and just watching him like emote and act which probably sounds like a friggin' nightmare for half of the people watching this. Sorry. But it was a delight to watch that whole thing. So when I watched Locke, I was like, this guy is top 3 in my mind right now. Like, really,
right,
really,
but I don't think people. I think he's. I mean, maybe the best kept secret in Hollywood. That people don't realize that he is.
So
he could be better than. I mean, Leo is Leo, and he could be the next Leo.
He is. I think it's right now and I'm probably forgetting somebody, but the people who are in the front of my mind right now are Tom Hardy, and I'm talking about like this kind of like the lower tier, not totally breakout A-list movie star that everybody knows, but it's Tom Hardy, it's Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's Oscar Isaacs in my mind. I think Oscar Isaacs being the one who still needs to do like more of a body of work, but Oscar Isaacs is coming for that spot pretty hard and fast, and he was one of my very favorites in Star Wars for sure, but also in Ex Machina, and
it was good. I've heard very varying things.
Ex Machina is very good. Yeah,
that's what I heard.
And them winning visual effects is actually like a big like come from behind underdog thing. Visual effects? Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah, they won. Yeah, they were like the one thing that Mad Max didn't win.
Yeah.
I think it was visual effects. I mean, they were robots, for God's sakes.
Yeah, well, I thought, I mean,
Mad Max, I think, I from what I didn't see the whole thing, but I had seen it, and saw it next to somebody on a plane, and it did look visually and sounded impressive. And all the things that it did win.
That movie is a technical masterpiece.
Yeah.
Bar none. And on many people's very best film of the year. But, we get into this space where what constitutes best picture? Is it like all the tiny details and inner workings of a enormously impressive technical film like Mad Max, or is it like a very, very tight story which emotes through its plot and characters like Spotlight, or is it like something that is so visually striking in The Revenant, which you could say the same for Mad Max, but it's difficult to kind of nail this stuff down. But I was very happy with the amount of things that Mad Max won, because it should have won all the below the line categories. Right. Below the line meaning everything above the line is like the talent, like directors and actors and everything, and below the line is like crew and all the that sort of stuff. So they won all that stuff, which is great. And I want to try to get faster here with the way we roll through this stuff. But Alicia Vikander, okay, cool. Like, I thought she was very good in Ex Machina. I did not see Danish Girl, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah, that category was kind of a throwaway. Unfortunately for Rachel McAdams, she got caught up in that. But Yeah, whatever she. I think the Danish Girl had to win something, so I think that was what it got. Like it was just kind of wasn't gonna not. So I feel like that means. I feel like The Big Short was the big movie that didn't win anything. Like that could have won something and didn't. I mean, Big Short again was something that I found excellent, and I thought, you know, what a nice touch Adam McKay put on it because it was still his production that there was kind of this dark humor to it that you kind of need to have in order to digest what was going on. I mean, obviously you can't put humor in Spotlight, but you could put a little bit of humor in this and still get away with it. It's still a dark topic. It's the housing crash, but it was something you could have put a little humor to, and he did it and did it well. And it was a difficult topic to explain, so you use humor to help explain it. But yeah, no, I thought that was probably the best. I thought that was the best movie that I saw that didn't get much recognition.
Yeah.
But I mean, they did get it in the. I mean, I heard somewhere that this Best Picture race was interesting because Spotlight won the SAG, Revenant won the Producers Guild, and I'm sorry, not the Directors Guild, and Spotlight won the Producers Guild. So usually,
No. It was.
Or was
you're just mixing. Yeah. DGA was Revenant. Producers Guild was Big Short.
Yeah, I think and then SAG was Spotlight.
Yeah.
So which actually, if you break them down that way, I think is right on. I think that was the best cast. I think that was probably the best directorial, and then that was the best production and story kind of design and Big Short.
It's interesting because usually Best Picture
sweeps those, right?
Best Picture. Well, usually Best Picture is used as Best Producer award. We have a Best Director, we have a Best Screenplay.
Right, it's true.
But there is no Best Producer, and usually that category kind of gets swallowed by Best Picture in general, which is why there was a lot of support for The Big Short as a favorite to win Best Picture, or one of the favorites, and then it didn't. So there goes that. But I very much liked Big Short, and I haven't heard anybody who hasn't liked it yet, which I think is very telling for a subject of that,
magnitude.
Of that magnitude, and that of complexity too. If everybody is coming out of it like that was great, I like that a lot. That means that they got their message across well with a challenging subject line for people to grasp and understand. So we talked about, and then Room. I saw Room.
Room, yeah. I want to see it. I just didn't get around to it, and from all accounts, good for Brie Larson. I think gone are the days of 21 Jump Street. Now she's going to be legit, which is cool. I think, and you and I had this discussion earlier about, or you said something to me, and I kind of agree with you that Jennifer Lawrence is kind of, I think has borderline now missed her window. I think she's now 25, going on 50, and somebody like Brie Larson can come up and be like, hey, if you're not going to take you're in your 20s and you're a female, take the powerhouse 20-something female roles. Jennifer Lawrence isn't doing it. So right. You know what? Brie Larson will. And, if you want to hang out on the David O. Russell train for the 6th consecutive year, fine. But, there are stuff out there and people are going to get tired of you and tired of you quick.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of Brie Larson as a potential usurper of Jennifer Lawrence. I mean, the only thing to be fair, Jennifer Lawrence does do the Hunger Games. She does do X-Men. But
that's dead. Hunger Games is done now.
Right. That's dead and it's gone. And she only does the X-Men because she's contractually obligated, or else she would fucking not do it, I'm sure. Not to say that the X-Men is a bad thing to be a part of, because it's not.
Wants to be a part of.
But it's not something she cares about at all. So I think that a mix of our points could come to fruition where her corner kind of gets taken up by Brie Larson, and it's a corner that she should be firmly holding on to, that she just has no real interest in, because she's doing Joy and she's doing American Hustle, which she was great in. But
she was great in American Hustle, but
and I didn't see Joy because I don't know anybody who did.
Everyone said it flopped.
Yeah. I think she kind of needs to shake things up, and she's talked about writing that screenplay with Amy Schumer, so maybe it takes something like that to kind of fix. But anyway, with Brie Larson, I think she's very talented. I thought her performance was very good. I thought it was a down year for that category in general.
Definitely.
She's very good. I don't know if she's greatness. I don't I didn't see her in that performance be like, wow, that's going to be a force for years to come. And if you win at that such a young age, I should feel like, wow, you're going to be kicking ass for a very long time, which she will kick some ass, but it wasn't as tremendous to me as the way that I think the impact should have had. She was very, very good, and it's a very difficult subject matter. And I don't know. I liked Room. I'll let you watch it and kind of give your
Right. I
thoughts.
wonder if it was like a situation where, she got recognition for something she should get later, but just somehow got it now. So hopefully, she uses it as a launching pad, and that she's going to all of a sudden take off and be, then really start to rake it in and produce good shit. But I think maybe it was just a situation where, let's give it to this girl, and for her it should be, all right, I'm now an Oscar winner, so now hopefully it'll bring in the kind of projects worthy of Oscar winners, and she can really start to, this is a good thing she cut her teeth on, and now she can kind of keep elevating from here.
Right. I think it was a year where the subject matter of her character and the construct of her character gave her like 3 points up.
Yeah.
Because the field, it wasn't as good.
Right.
There weren't as, there are very interesting female characters in the other nominees, but with that, it's like, oh, you got kidnapped, you have to raise a child alone in like a single room. You have to be continually like alluded to being sexually assaulted all the time, and then you have to adjust, whatever. I'm not going to give things up, but
and that kid, I think, helped. He was such a buzz that, like, it was like it was almost like giving the award to the pair, because the kid didn't get nominated. So it was almost as if, well, you should give it. And they function such as a pair that it was almost as if that's what it was.
Yeah. So that probably helped her as well. But I don't know. I've like I said, it was a year of very goods in my mind. I thought it was a down year from the jump, but I thought that was pretty good.
Anyone actors? We haven't acknowledged Leo. Good for Leo.
We will, but Inarritu,
we'll do him first.
I think probably yes. If not him, George Miller for Mad Max. But
yeah, I think those were the two that were directorially probably deserving of the most, praise. Did the Martian director, was he involved? I don't even know.
Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Actually, now that you say it was Ridley Scott, I don't think so.
They took home nothing.
Yeah, they should.
It's a shame because I really like The Martian.
Oh, it was good. Yeah, it was really entertaining.
Yeah.
A little long. But if you're going to make me watch a movie for 2.5 hours, you better use it properly.
Yeah.
Like, that's my feelings on 2.5 hour movies. We've already pushed up the average movie time to be more of 2 hours, and that's fine. But if you're going to do 2.5 hours, you better need it. Right.
And I think a movie like that did need it, because you have to feel like, fuck, this is a long time for this guy to have to survive on Mars. So I was okay with
somebody who knows somebody who's read the book, and obviously this is a book movie debate, but like
somebody who knows somebody who's been deserted on Mars.
No, yes, as somebody who was. Well, Katie asked me when we sat down in the movies, "This is based on a true story," and I said, "God, if it was based on a true story, I'd hope you would have heard about it." So there's that. As somebody who knows somebody who read it, Alex was very disappointed in the amount of information that was left out. There was a lot of action that was left out, or a lot of things that happened. And I think I understand that it was a very long book, and I think it would have beat it to death because there are so many obstacles put in his way in the book that you didn't see all of them in the movie. But he said the ending was a little less dramatic in the movie, he thought, because they were, they didn't create all the obstacles that were actually in front of him in the book.
I'm going to send Alex this podcast I listened to of Drew Goddard, who adapted this and wrote the screenplay. And he talks about that being his like main problem the entire time. He's like, I want to do this justice. I need to put the stuff in, but then like, am I making a movie all about science the entire time in the sleep?
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people who love science. Like, I'd be interested in reading and seeing that stuff on the screen, but Drew Goddard, the writer, was very worried about shit. Like, how am I supposed to like emote science and make it resonate and make it like cool and fun and actually digestible for mainstream audiences?
That's true. I mean, I'm sure it was an impossible task. That was the one complaint I heard.
But it's a good point by Alex, and I think a lot of people probably who read that ebook or whatever would say something similar. But the way Goddard talks about it, who's one of the best, most unique and fun, smart writers in all of Hollywood, he does a good job of explaining all the reasons why. So I'm gonna probably send him something like that. But
anyways, I moved you off in Gutu, but tell me about why. I mean, why? So if as someone who's seen both, why him over Mad Max guy? Because I mean, the Mad Max guy, I'm sure was crazy to have to direct. So why was that better?
I don't have a strong answer yet. Seeing both of them, I think the legendary, almost like a legend grew out of what happened on the Revenant set.
It's true. Well, because they stopped and started, right? They had all kinds of trouble getting through it, and the temperatures and all this stuff.
They stopped and started. They were in northern Canada, and then like there wasn't enough snow when they were shooting, so they had to go to the tip of Argentina to find more and shoot stuff down there and like reshoot this and do that. And it was so bad that Tom Hardy had to pull out of the Suicide Squad because they were continuing production on the Revenant, which I've heard he's not that happy about.
I'm sure he's not.
And because he could be the leader of the Suicide Squad. Do you realize
what was he supposed to be?
That would be right now.
What was he supposed to be? Deadshot?
No. Rick Flag is the character's name. He's there's like this tall like white boy with brown hair who's kind of like he's giving the orders to Suicide Squad. Imagine if that was Tom Hardy. Like people would be really whipped into a frenzy right now about Suicide Squad, me included. But so the shoot was horrible. The conditions were horrible. I gotta believe like all the crew hates Inarritu by now.
It was all natural light too, wasn't it?
Yeah, they strive to use all natural light and a lot of like one shot takes where they just kind of move through the action, which he did do a few times, which is a point in his favor. And then George Miller, that I think also with Mad Max, which it was not his MO to win an Academy Award. He just wants to make cool films and films he's interested in. But I think it always hurts you when you're early in the year because Mad Max was May. Yeah. And I mean, Revenant was
Martian.
Like a month before.
I lied. Martian was October.
Yeah. So I think it hurts to be early in the year like that sometimes. And I think that might have rubbed off a little bit on George Miller. But some of the methods that we just talked about with Inarritu, I think, was really what sealed the deal in the shots he got and the nature of the whole production it's become like literally like legendary. There were articles written in the Hollywood Reporter about the production there, good and bad. A lot of bad things happened. But so I think that's probably why. All right, let's storm onward to
Leo.
I
thought it was so interesting because it was such an in the bag deal. It was kind of fun to go back through and say all the things that Leo's ever done and like, oh, what should he have won for? It was almost as if this Oscar represented all of Leo's characters, and because everyone I feel like universally, I don't know if you can speak to it, I can't, but like that this really shouldn't have been it, but it just happened to be it. But it was more of an Oscar win for all of his characters that we all loved, whether they were nominated or not. Leo is the guy I think that's in a way that nobody else is. That when you think Leonardo DiCaprio, you really think his characters and all the people he's portrayed, whether they be real or fake, and it's just he's Jay Gatz, he's Frank Abernathy, he's the guy from Aviator, he's Jack Dawson, like he is those people, or he's Jordan Belfort. So it's just like I don't think of anybody else the way he's so synonymous with his characters. So I mean, I was for the general public, it was fun to watch him be commended for this, for anything, and it was just kind of cool, I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely a legacy award, but when I came out of the Revenant, I saw it early through the U. We saw it like on the 4th of December. So like very early now, like with everything in perspective. I thought like there's no way Leo's going to win for this because he spoke English, I don't know, for a total of like 10 minutes in total of like a 2.5-hour movie or whatever.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm going to move with you to talk. My battery's dying, so I'm going to grab my cord. Keep going.
he has to do a lot of like acting by himself, and he's like not interacting with people a lot of the movie because he's coming back and trying to storm through the frontier to find I'm not going to spoil things if you haven't seen it.
I'm probably not going to see it. Let's be completely honest.
Well, you should, but
Ugh.
or the audience. But and then when he is speaking, like a lot of the time, it's in this like Native American language dialect, like a Shawnee. I think it was like the Shawnee tribe or something like that. Like he's speaking in that language, and like there's not enough dialogue for Leo to win. Like there was a lot of great physical acting, but there's not enough dialogue. Like the Academy needs dialogue. But again, weak year for. I mean, you're gonna give it to like maybe Fassbender for Steve Jobs, or I don't know, whoever. Like I still forget.
Matt Damon, Fassbender, Bryan Cranston. Who was the other person? Steve Carell?
No. I don't know.
But I mean, that was going to be my next question. Who got robbed then? But I mean, yeah. Though I mean, God knows. I mean, you and I both believe in Bryan Cranston until the day we die. So I can only imagine what Bryan Cranston. I mean, that scene of him naked in the bathtub writing, I thought was just the most Bryan Cranston thing I've ever seen. I'm like, no shit, that's the kind of character he is.
I didn't get to see it. It should be noted that I was trying to watch, but I was working the Oscars. No big deal.
So the clip they showed of Bryan Cranston was like him sitting in a bathtub naked. They obviously can't, like with a tray table across with his computer or writing or something, and like his daughter comes in and was like, "Aren't you gonna come down because it's my birthday?" And he's like, I don't know what he was basically just like, "I'm fucking writing here." Like he's just like didn't give a shit. It was great. It was just it was Bryan Cranston. It was excellent.
And you effectively just set me up to look like the biggest asshole on the planet. I was just about to say, no big deal, but it's also actually is no big deal because I was only at like a viewing party for my company's client, Mercedes-Benz. So I was trying to save myself looking like a complete prick, but your opportune moment of chiming in with the explanation of Bryan Cranston's role really made a long pause of, wow, that guy is a douchebag. But okay, I didn't get to see like some of the clips of the best parts of like Trumbo, but I'm gonna go back and check out Trumbo pretty soon, hopefully. But I mean, nobody got robbed. Nobody was like, wow, like that was so strong, that was so great. Like I didn't see Steve Jobs because I didn't feel like watching Michael Fassbender watch him yell at people for 2 hours. I didn't really care to see that, even if it is Sorkin. So I don't know. I think the Leo stuff, like, I'm glad for Leo. I think it's probably overdue, but I'm bummed because I think he should have won it on a real performance. And that was a really real performance. But
so maybe that's my question then. If you were to give it to one of his characters, who would you give it to? Actually, I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to hear you out anyway.
It's a good question. I have like personal answers, and then I have more objective thinking.
Well, I know your personal answer. Your personal answer is Jay Gatsby, correct?
Correct.
So your technical answer.
Literally.
I actually think it should be Jordan Belfort. I think it should be Jordan Belfort.
No, it's not a
because of
the thing.
That Quaalude scene, I think, is the most ridiculous 10 minutes of film I've ever witnessed. I was crying. Like, I never thought physical humor could be so funny. And you didn't realize he was that funny. Like, that told you he was so good because that's hard. It would have been hard to do. And it was, I think, improvised, right?
I don't know.
Or I think it was in one take or something. Something else was technically impressive about it.
Yeah. No, I probably would say that. But yeah, I don't know. I think he was really good. I think he was really good at that. You know what I also think he was very, very good in is Django.
That's what I've seen people say too.
Django is, and I don't think that's lead. It's not lead, but I thought he was exceptional at that. I thought he was exceptional also in Inception. and
Shutter Island. You see Shutter Island?
yeah, I've seen it, of course.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that can be said about. I think his character in Blood Diamond and The Departed are very close to one another.
Mm.
And yeah, I don't know. But I think it's probably Jordan Belfort because of the like outrageousness of what he has to do. He's narrating the whole thing the entire time, so he's talking to a camera.
Yeah.
So probably that. But I'm a little bummed because he's not going anywhere. We could stick it out. Like, it doesn't have to be that. Like, it has to be that because he was the best of this category right now because it's just a shit year.
But almost became this legend of like the monkey should come off properly, and this was kind of like a cheap way to get the monkey out the back.
Right, but I think he's got a role coming up that could have been truly his earning role of this award, which is The Devil in the White City, that he's going to do with Martin Scorsese, and he's playing like this bad guy serial killer. And if you haven't looked into that much, but I think that is potentially could be the apex of what he has done. Because
he has this maniacal side to him that, like, you know, that I think he shows in Jordan Belfort in a certain way, and he shows in Django in a certain way. And I think it's cool that, you know, to people, I think if that's all those things are melded into one and it's drawn out, maybe it's in this kind of thing.
And he taps into it even in The Departed and Blood Diamond as well. So he's well positioned to play characters like that. So I think it's a good thing. Okay. Any other thought on Leo?
No, I think that's it for Leo. I want to talk about the black thing for a hot second because I didn't see Chris's monologue. I will admit that, but I saw it afterward, and that was probably what I expected. I mean, I think the only thing he could have done there was just embrace it, which is kind of what he did. I mean, Oscar host and award show host in general, I think that's kind of an impossible thing to do. So I mean, I give you credit for doing it at all. I mean, besides Ellen, I think Ellen's excellent, but you know, I think he did fine and had to kind of talk about it, and that's fine. But I mean, as somebody who, and I actually, well, let's talk about this, and then I want to parlay into Straight Outta Compton, because I think that was one of the big black movies that didn't get the respect it wanted or whatever. And I actually don't. I didn't like it very much, and I really wanted to like it, and I really didn't like it because, again, I thought it was really too long. I thought it beat home the wrong points. So, Chris Rock, and then we'll do Straight Outta Compton for a second.
Yeah, and then we'll conclude. But Chris Rock, I thought was very good. I thought he was you couldn't have lucked into the perfect person for this particular year.
Yeah.
Like, some of the jokes fell flat, like Welcome to the Academy Awards, otherwise known as the White People's Choice Awards. Like, it's kind of easy one to make, and I think that fell a little flat. And then the stuff about when he did the Girl Scout cookies thing, I think that was like the producers just trying to make,
it must have been the most giant product placement I've ever seen.
Well, it was just like the producers trying to make a viral event, trying to do the Ellen selfie thing and kind of capture that stuff. And I don't know, like, so that stuff was kind of hit or miss for me, but there were certain parts where I was howling at some of the things he was saying. Like, he went after Jada Pinkett Smith for a minute and saying, like, you know, it's like he said, like, you protesting the Oscars is like me protesting Rihanna's panties. Like, I wasn't invited. Like, you weren't invited.
Yeah.
So, like, that, he had a couple awesome lines there that I was rolling over laughing at that. But so I thought he was a good pick. I thought he did a good job for what it called for. I thought it was a little tone deaf by the production team and the Academy to be like, oh, like, we know you're really, really upset about Oscar's So White, you know, everything, whatever that hashtag was, I can't remember. Is that what it was? Oscar's So White?
So White, yeah.
Yeah. They're like, we know there's a lot of uproar about this, so let's overcompensate. And I think they were overcompensating over and over and over and over and over.
And the random, like, Asian kids they brought in jokes, and like they're like, all right, we'll just make fun of everybody. And, you know, like the Suge, I mean, I would transition to Straight Outta Compton. The Suge Knight thing was really weird, random.
Bad runner. It was a bad runner joke for.
It should have died the first time, and it didn't. And
I think they should have taken that one back. And like Suge Knight has like carved Chris Rock's name into his arm now.
Right. Well, it was almost like it was a case of, to use a Bachelor term, like way too much producer intervention. I wonder, like, did they really not give him any kind of, what? I feel like there was a lot of manufacturedness there, and I mean, Chris Rock's a comedian, so we'll just let him go.
But I will say though, I love the movie montage that they did of like the black versions of all these movies, or like if a black person was headlining, like with Tracy Morgan was the Danish girl, literally like eating a Danish in a dress. I thought that was hysterical. And when I can't remember her name, but she's in the new Ghostbusters. When
the SNL girl.
Yeah, she's like acting like the bear in The Revenant, and like that was hysterical. So I thought that was funny. So it was good and bad, but I thought overall like the Academy was just really like overcompensating. Like, we know you're pissed, so like here's some stuff.
Or the interview that they took straight out of Barcelona's brain with that Compton outside of a Compton movie theater thing. That was pretty good.
Yeah, but that was that was taped a long time ago. So
yeah, no, I'm not saying they stole it from Barcelona, but I just think it was. It's just a lot of effort. There was just a lot of effort done, and but transition to Compton for a hot sec.
Okay.
My hot takes on that are, it was way too long.
Mm-hmm.
There were way too many scenes. And I understand that this was the time, so there's never enough scenes to explain this to you. But in a movie, there are way too many times where they frisked down by the police. I understand the idea that the police culture there was really bad then, and it wasn't fair to them, and that's fine. But like a 7-minute scene, or like a 3-minute extension of a scene, just walking out of Dre's house when they're all like frisked down on the ground again, like, and then outside the studio, and then this place, and then that place. Too much of it, way too much of it, and I thought it like. I'm
confused. Are you saying like there were too many
scenes of the same thing, of showing that the police were always treating them poorly and always putting them on the ground and frisking them and calling them gangbangers and calling them whatever? Like, I thought there was too much of that. I thought that point was explained in if that was just explained in a couple of neat ways, you understood it. Okay. I think the thing in Detroit should have happened, because I'm sure it probably did happen. I don't know the history very well, but I'm sure that probably did happen, so that's relevant. But like, when they come outside the studio and then they're all frisked down and they're like, these are NWA, and Paul Giamatti comes out and gets all mad about it. Like, it was just too long. I thought it was too much of that. I thought it just peaked too early. Like, maybe this is, again, Alex and I both didn't really know the history all that well, but like, I didn't realize that NWA was such a flash in the pan, and then it was gone.
Very quick.
Their own thing. So I guess so they did that, but I think I didn't see enough of that to go on, because then all the individual, the Ice Cube story, and the Dre story, and then the Easy story, like, it was all kind of, it strayed too far away, and then I was like, how is this thing going to end? And I remember looking. I watched it at home, and I was like, God, there's still so much more time left. What are they going to do? And then it became evident that it was just going to be Easy dying, and I was like, okay, I guess this is the way to end it. But it was just kind of it felt kind of too many loose ends, or it was like, Dre quitting on Suge Knight and whatever. It was just it was like too many storylines to follow at the end. I was like, oh God, this is what's happening with Dre. Okay, what's going on with Ice Cube? Okay, what's going on with Easy? And I couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah, well, I think part of your reaction to it is you were sold on it being a product of the life and potential demise of NWA.
Yeah.
And it was much more than that. Obviously, it was the start and finish of NWA, pushing into the launch and supremacy of Ice Cube's career, which shouldn't be understated. Ice Cube was the top dog for like a period of like 18 months. Like, nobody could touch Ice Cube. He was the hottest thing in rap from like 90 to like 91 and like things like that. He was scorching the earth. And then it moved into Death Row stuff with Dre and the craziness with Suge Knight. And then he leaves and he says, spoiler, if you haven't seen Straight Outta Compton, what's wrong with you? So I don't care. But then at the end he says he's leaving, he's starting Aftermath. Like, I think there was just a lot of really like rap fanboy stuff in there.
Yeah. I mean, the music stuff was really cool when, he's like, check out this beat, and it's like the California beat. Like, it's all very interesting. Or like the little, like, oh, here's Tupac, here's Big Dog. Like, it was just a lot of that. Or it was borderline cheesy when he like walked out of the recording studio. It's like, I'm gonna start Aftermath. Like, no shit, that's your start. Like,
Yeah,
it was
that was
cool, but so what I meant is that like you could have done that in 2 hours, and you just chose to do it in 2.5, and that's my problem with it.
I think the writers, they ran into such a problem where, and I listened to the writers talk about it. They ran into a problem where it's so dense with material.
Yeah,
that
they feel like they had to cover it all, and I think they
Yeah.
did cover it all, and at the expense of it being a long movie.
Yeah, and it's so much material, and you have to do this thing with easy because it's kind of like the heart of the movie, but you also have to do the fan service stuff of what's going on with Dre and Cube, because that's really interesting, and that's kind of the people came for that stuff, so you really want that as well. But I liked the movie a lot. Like, I remember I went and saw it by myself the like end of August and in the theater, and I don't remember a time where like I drove faster blaring louder music than when I left that theater, like blaring all the NWA records I had on my phone. And I don't know, I thought it was great. I really
Though I will
enjoyed it,
tell
but
you,
I'm also a
the
rap fanboy, so
yeah, the one thing that I thought was perfectly done was when they were introducing everybody, and then with a little script on the side, which I appreciated because no way I was gonna know, and they cut to this kid in his bedroom with his headphones on, and like they pan across the record player, and they get to a kid on the floor, and he has his headphones on, and he's sitting there like playing the keys in the air, and I was like, this is exactly what I think Dr. Dre would have been doing in high school. He was just producing things even then, and so I thought that was perfectly done. But it was, a really easy gimme, but it was what I totally expected it to be. But no, I mean, I thought it was interesting, but that was the buzzy movie that didn't get talked about. But I mean, I don't know if any of those kids deserved noms, but
Jason Mitchell, Eazy-E did. But who are you going to take out? You're going to take out Sly. You're going to take out Mark Rylance. You're going to take out Ruffalo. You're going to take out
Hardy.
Like, that was a tough year for this male supporting, I think, because there's a lot of pretty good talent there. But it's also like, it's kind of like the same thing with sports. You're a rookie. What do you want?
Yeah.
Like, you're a rookie kid. In the
do it again, then come talk to me.
Right, in the terms of the grand scheme of things, like, sometimes that happens. So people are upset about that, but at the same time, you kind of get it if you're thinking big picture.
Right,
So
well, hope we see them again.
Yeah, but
yeah, that's all I had for my movie fix. Anything else you want to cover?
I think that's all we got. I'm very tempted to bring up this last thing. We got to do it for like under 5 minutes. I get what was happening, but somebody has to explain the Gaga thing to me, because I don't get it. Like, not that I don't get what was going on Oscar night, but like, just why people love her. I don't get it. Like, I get that she was up there and she was saying
I will give you it in under 30 seconds. She
Okay.
is immensely technically talented. She has the pipes of a whatever. She's very gifted in terms of producing quality music. But her, she's an artist. And I actually think I'll put these two people side by side. I think Sia and her are they're both technically great singers, and they put out great music. The difference in their shticks is Sia does this thing where she doesn't want you to see her face, but she does nothing more than that. Gaga has gone through, and we grew up with Gaga, she's gone through so many different evolutions and iterations of herself. It's suffocating. So, and it takes away from her talent. So, unfortunately, but she put out a great song about a great thing, about an important topic that she happens to be a part of. So that's why she got the recognition she gets.
Of course.
But she is insufferable because she can't decide what she wants to do. She comes in a she's wearing a meat dress. She's in an egg, like all these different things. Yeah. And that's her problem. So I think, to try to waste brain cells on it, you shouldn't, because it's just stupid. And she has money now, so she has the fame now, and that's it.
Yeah, I just find her artistic like so pretentious, and your comparison to Sia is very good and accurate, because her shtick is like, I don't want to be like seen in the public eye. I don't want to be famous. I want to make good music and do what I'm here for, and not
watch her. I know this is a bad plug, but watch her carpool karaoke where she explains it to James Corden. She explains it so well at Sia, so well and so whatever. And she actually has a great personality. She's funny as hell.
I'm sure I admire her a lot. I think her
Yeah.
music is phenomenal. I enjoy it more than Gaga's for
But
sure.
she can be grounded, but still have a shtick. Gaga is so far from grounded. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's like, and I really hate how everybody's like has, you know, between the Super Bowl and now the Oscars, it's like
Lose their mind over.
it's like witness Gaga, like worship at the altar of Gaga, like, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, why are people celebrating this woman? Like, of course, she is immensely talented, and she just spoke on a very, very important topic at the Oscars that she is a part of. But like, gross. Why are you ruining it by like all these things and like emoting these weird?
Yeah.
If you're drinking every time I say emote today, you're very drunk. But it's like it just like makes you want to throw up. It's like too like LA scene and like pretentious artistry bullshit. I'm like, God, you're ruining this moment by being yourself or being this version of yourself.
being this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's tough.
That bothered me.
Good fucking thing she didn't win the thing. Imagine if she won the Oscar, you would have died. You would have turned it off right then and there.
That's another thing. I'm very angry that my community, movies and film, are allowing her in. Fucking get her out of here. I don't care. Leave her there with music and the Grammys. Like, that's where she can go dominate and be a thing. Not over here. Like, we're doing other things over here. We don't need Gaga. Like, get away from me. I was actually very happy with the Sam Smith win, too. I thought that was an under-the-radar, awesome song. After coming off of the Adele song. So I thought that was really great. I was happy to see that. Feel a little bad for the Weeknd, but also, hey, Weeknd, go back to making the music that you made when you first came on the scene.
Flipping way with the Academy to give 50 Shades of Grey an Oscar. So just that was where that was going to begin and end.
Also, very good point. Anyway, that's been the show for Emily. I'm Patrick, and we're very happy that you sat in on our inevitable conversation about the Oscars. We just had it with all of you instead. So, thanks for watching.
We're back for some baseball soon because Patrick's got smoking hot baseball takes.
Back with some baseball too, because I need to be educated. Once a year, I have to be educated. So Emily's going to educate me, and we're going to find more.
Maybe this year they'll actually be good, and we can do more than one, which is not what we could say about last year.
Right, we can do more than one. Maybe we'll do one midway through. Maybe we'll do one if they get into the playoffs, God willing. Maybe we'll do one if Pablo Panda Sandoval loses about 50 pounds. But you know, there's a lot of things that could happen. All right. Anyway, for Emily, my name is Patrick. This was Run the Julz Oscars 88th edition. So have a good week.
Bye.
Oh, hold on.